gonna make barbecue pork ribs, and they're going to be delicious, and we're gonna make them totally from scratch in our crock pot, along with a homemade barbecue sauce that we're gonna make on the stovetop. So let's make dinner. So the first thing we're gonna start off with is making our barbecue sauce. So I have a saucepan, and I'm gonna start off with some tomato sauce. The kind I got was this fire roasted and garlic. So measuring out a cup of our sauce, a cup of ketchup, we're going to add 2/3 of a cup of brown sugar, our molasses, and we're gonna do a 1/4 cup into our saucepan. 2/3 of our red wine vinegar is going in here. Okay, so we got 2 tablespoons of the liquid smoke, putting a 1/4 teaspoon of our onion powder, garlic powder. It also calls for a 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne pepper, but I don't have any and I don't really like spicy, so I'm gonna omit it. But if you want to put that in there now. 1/4 teaspoon of some black pepper. We're gonna add 1/8 of a teaspoon of our chili powder. So it also calls for dry mustard, which I don't have, so I might add just a little squirt of regular mustard. We're just gonna do 1/8 of a teaspoon of cinnamon. So now we have all our ingredients in our pan here, and we're just gonna mix this all up until it is a nice smooth consistency. And then I'm gonna turn on the stove to medium heat, and we're gonna wait for it to get to a nice boil. So we can see we're starting to get some bubbles on our sauce. We're gonna keep an eye on that. But in the meantime, I'm actually gonna preheat our oven to 400 degrees. Now you may be like, Gina, you said we were gonna do this in the crock pot. We are, it's just we're gonna give it a little head start in the oven. So now let's go season our ribs. I got some St. Louis style sliced ribs. It came in this big package, and we want to season this and then put it onto a baking sheet that I use this silicone mat on so it doesn't stick. But you can use either parchment paper or tin foil. It'll all work the same. Sauce is going to a boil. We're looking good. We're actually going to turn down our heat so it'll just simmer. So I'm going to go for maybe like low, so you can tell it's barely on, and then we're just gonna keep watching this, but you want to keep stirring it as well. Don't forget to give it a little stir every now and then. And you're just gonna simmer this for about 20 minutes to an hour. Have our ribs. I just cut it up into 3 different pieces just so it's a little bit easier to manage instead of that big slab of ribs. And now I'm going to season it with some salt and pepper, both sides. Don't forget to give your barbecue sauce another stir. I noticed that it wasn't really simmering, so I just turned it up to the number 2 on my stove. So not the lowest, but one above that, and now it seems to be a little more simmering, whereas before it wasn't bubbling at all. Now we're going to make a little combination of a couple of spices to tie in our flavors of our barbecue sauce. So we're going to take a teaspoon of garlic powder, a teaspoon of our brown sugar, a teaspoon of onion powder, and then we're actually going to just take a whisk and whisk this up, just to get it all nice and mixed, because we're going to rub this on our ribs, so we want to make sure it's going to evenly distribute. Alright, so we noticed that our barbecue sauce is still simmering, so we're just going to give that a little stir. We're not forgetting about it. It's got about another 4 minutes until it's been on for 20 minutes. And then we're going to go back over to our ribs. So we've got our seasoned ribs. Again, we seasoned it with salt and pepper. Now we're going to take the mixture that we just made with the garlic powder, onion powder, and brown sugar. It's all a teaspoon of each. We mixed it all up, and now we're just going to sprinkle it on both sides. The ribs now have on it salt, pepper, onion powder, garlic powder, and brown sugar. We're gonna pop this in the oven for 15 minutes, and then we're actually going to flip it and cook it for another 15 minutes. And again, we preheated our oven to 400. Timer just went off. It's been 20 minutes that this has been cooking for. So it said at least 20, but you can do it for up to an hour. Because we want time for it to cool before we put it in with our ribs, I'm gonna just shut it off and move it off the heat. And as it sits, it's actually going to thicken as it cools. All right, so our ribs have cooked for 15 minutes on this side. I'm just going to pull them out. Back in the oven for another 15 minutes on this side. Okay, our ribs are done in the oven. Here are our ribs. They just came out of the oven, and we're gonna stick them right into our crock pot. You can see the steam. We're just gonna add our barbecue sauce. We wanna add enough so that it's coated, but we still wanna reserve a little as well. So, pop on our lid. Turn on our crock pot, and then we are going to set it for 7 hours. So you might want to start this one early. I'm going to select low cook and start. And there you go. We are cooking. We got some finished ribs. Our ribs are all done, and now what we're gonna do is plate this and give them a try. All right, so here's my plate. I put the extra barbecue sauce on top of the ribs, and I just had leftover pepper salad that I made the other night. In the pepper salad, I put red pepper, green pepper, yellow pepper, along with cucumber. And I just diced it up into bite-sized pieces. Then the vinaigrette dressing was just olive oil and some apple cider vinegar. All right, it's time for our first bites. I'm so excited. I actually cheated and picked a little bit. It's so tender. Like, oh my goodness. Like, I don't even need a knife right now. The bones are just like coming right off. My mouth is watering like looking at this. Oh my god, this is so delicious. Like, you guys have to make this. Of all the ones I've made so far, like, honestly, make this one. It's so good. It tastes like a barbecue restaurant, and like I made it at home. Just falling off the bone. Like, I need to show you my plate. So crazy. Like, look at this. The bone literally just comes right out. So tender. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up below. And if you'd like to see more videos like this, please subscribe to my channel. If you guys have any ideas for recipes you want to see me make, please leave it in the comments below. And we'll see you next time. Bye guys!